What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of our player ratings after the 2-1 victory against Ferencvaros in the Europa League, which makes it a 100% record after 2 games, 5 wins on the bounce. And let's get into them, starting off with Big Vic. I'm going to give him a 7. What are you giving him?
I gave him an 8.
An 8? Yeah, I was toying with an 8, but then I thought, you know what? We spoke about in the match review about the fumble, so I just knocked him down 1 just for that. But look, he was confident throughout. He was coming for the crosses. He dominated his box really well. 1 really top save in there. Would have been 2 if that chance wasn't offside, but I guess we can count it anyway. But yeah, I'm really happy with Big Vic at the moment, and I think he's performing at a really high level.
Yeah, another top performance from Vic. He's having a really strong showing in the Europa League in the first 2 games of the competition, and I thought that save from Soldano was absolutely fantastic. The way he just fingertipped it wide when it looked like I was heading for the corner. I thought he was really confident from coming for crosses as well. A few really good high claims, apart from obviously that 1 fumble, which he did get away with. Thankfully, Basuma mopped it up. But I thought it was a really strong showing from Big Vic. So, yeah, I gave him an 8.
Pedro Porro, I'm going to give an 8 too. I think he was absolutely stunning throughout. He was my man the match throughout the day. He was so dominant on that right-hand side. He linked up really well with Mikey Moore as well, particularly in the first half. He was such an attacking threat, attacking outlet. Was unlucky not to finish the game with a goal as well. And I thought for the most part he dealt with his job defensively. They did get in that side a couple of times, but I thought for the most part he was really solid.
Yeah, I gave him a 9. I thought he was exceptional on the day. I thought his delivery was fantastic. I thought his effort for which hit the post when he cut inside on his left foot and bent it into the far corner. I was so unlucky not to get a goal in that situation. I thought he was such a threat on the ball. His dribbling ability was fantastic. I think it was 5 out of 5 dribbles completed on the day for a fullback is exceptional. I thought his passing in between the lines, though, was what really set the tone for Spurs. So I gave him a 9.
Let's go into Cuti Romero up next. I gave him a 7. The only reason I marked him down, I thought he was actually brilliant throughout, but I did think he started the game a bit shaky. But I think once he got over that, he was absolutely brilliant, to be honest. He led the line perfectly. He was a leader throughout the team. His ball playing ability as well stood him apart from everyone else in that back line, in my opinion. And I just felt in the goal that we did concede towards the end, he just let that player get in between him and Davis as well. So look, I thought it was a really strong showing. He was definitely with that with one of the big players coming in from the first team. I think that he really stood out. So I was very happy with Romero. Just a few little mishaps in there.
Yeah, I gave him an 8. I thought he was a top performance from Cuti. I thought it was a real captain's performance. I thought it was full of physicality and full of pressing and full of aggression, which we all know that Cully's full of as well. So I thought it was a really, really good showing. And I thought the number of times he was able to win it in good situations to get Tottenham on the front foot was exceptional. And I thought his passing forward as well, yet again, in between the lines, really great. Picking out the likes of Sarr and Berg found good positions. And especially when the Maddison and Decky came on as well, I thought his passing was top. So I gave him an 8.
Next up is Ben Davis. I gave him a 6, actually. And to be honest, I did think he was pretty good throughout. I thought he was much more comfortable at centre-back than he was at left-back. I did feel like a couple of times when Spurs were under pressure, he was found wanting a couple of times. But I thought for the most part, he was actually really strong and really solid. So maybe 6 is a bit harsh for Ben Davis, to be honest. Maybe the only reason I didn't give him a 7 is because I thought Cuti Romero was that much better for them. And if I've given Cuti a 7, I couldn't have really been giving Ben Davis a 7. So maybe it was more fair to bump Cuti up to an 8 and bump Davis up to a 7, because I don't think either of them deserved a low mark. But I thought, again, he was a culprit for for the goal that we did concede with the attacker getting in between him and Romero. So I thought he should have dealt with that situation better. But look, I didn't really have too many problems with his performance, and I remember praising him quite thoroughly throughout the game. So yeah, I'm going to stick with the 6 anyway.
I gave him a 7, which I thought he was solid. Didn't do too much wrong. I thought a left back and a centre back, he provided a good outlet for the team, and I thought his passing was good. I thought defensively he dealt with Varga a bit better than Gray did at centre back, and I thought when he was at left back he was supporting Werner quite well and he was getting up the pitch. So I thought in the inverted role as well he did decent when he was on the left back, but when he moved back to centre back he looked a lot better. So yeah, I gave him a 7, solid performance. Next
up is Archie Gray. I gave Archie a 7, and I thought in the first half at centre-back, I think he struggled at times, particularly with the physical challenge that Ferencvaros brought. But I thought when he moved out to left-back in the second half, you start to see him shine with his ability on the ball. There was that one back heel that he did midway through the second half, which led us onto a counter-attack, which was absolutely brilliant. But there was a number of times when he was just able to wriggle out of the situations with his unbelievable ball-playing ability and his ability on the ball. So I was really impressed with Archie in the second half, but first half he does get marked down because he was playing at centre-back in probably an unnatural position for him. So 7 for me.
Yeah, I gave him a 7 as well. I thought first half he did have his struggles. I thought Varga was giving him a real tough time with his physical presence. But I actually thought on the ball he played some really good passes. I remember one beautiful pass to Timo Werner out wide to the left, which set us on our attack. And I thought he did a good job next to Kuti on the ball with our build-up. Yeah, I thought off the ball defensively he did struggle a bit in that first half. But second half, once moved to left-back, looked so much more comfortable. The amount of times he played his way out of pressure really confidently was delightful. As you said, that back heel. He had that run down the touchline, which he ran most of the pitch, but unfortunately held onto the ball a bit too long. But just showed what he could bring in that position. I thought he was really, really good in that second half. So I gave him a 7.
Next up is Yves Basuma, and I thought it was a really strong display from Yves. I've given him an 8. I thought he was so influential throughout. He was a massive reason why we kept retaining that ball in the half. The amount of last-ditch challenges and interceptions that he was making throughout to help us retain the ball was unbelievable. I was a bit disappointed. There was a number of times when he kept winning the ball back and then just making a sloppy pass, which was quite frustrating. But don't get it twisted. The job that he did for the team yesterday was unbelievable. So, and also the amount of times as well he was winning it back and really charging down the centre of the park and wriggling out of situations. I think you're really starting to see Yves Basuma get back to his best now.
Yeah, I also gave him an 8. I thought it was a really strong showing from Basuma. A bit sloppy on the ball, but by and large, I actually thought on the ball he was pretty good. I thought his dribbling was fantastic, the way he was able to dribble his way out of certain situations when we looked like we were in trouble, and he just uses physical attributes and his great dribbling ability to get into the space and set Tottenham on the attack. I thought he really earned his money off the ball, though. Brilliant defensive work. The amount of tackles he made and duels he won was top notch, and just relieved the pressure on Spurs at times when it looked like Ferencvaros were going to get 2 on top of us. So really top showing. Unlucky not to get an assist as well when they played a really good through ball to Lancashire, who probably should have finished it. So 8 for Basuma.
Next up is Pape Matar. I've given him an 8. I thought it was his best display of the season. He was literally everywhere on the pitch. Every single blade of grass this guy covered. He got on the score sheet as well with a lovely finish, and he was a threat on goal. The amount of shots, I think he had about 3 shots on target in the opening half an hour or 45 minutes for sure. And I think, I've been critical of Pape Sarr so far this season, but I think he's slowly starting to creep into the season and saving this one for his best performance as of yet. So it's nice to see him growing into the season.
Yeah, I gave him an 8 as well. Really well taken goal. Take advantage of the chaos that was caused in the penalty area from some of the Spurs players, but a really neat finish into the far corner. And obviously he had a shot in the first half as well on the edge of the box, which forced a good save out of the keeper. I just thought he put so much energy into the midfield, made sure we weren't overrun. Did some really good work defensively when Ferencvaros looked like they were going to counter on us, and he was just covering those areas really well. And I thought he was a threat going forward, so it was a really good strong showing from Pup. So I went for a 8.
Next up is Lucas Bergval. I gave him a 6. Unfortunately, not the strongest showing from him, but I do think maybe the criticism that he's come under is a bit over the top for him. I just don't think that he's showing his silky self that he has been doing maybe before he got taken off against Karabag. I don't think he was as much of a threat as maybe he would have wanted to have been. He did claim that assist for Pape Matar's goal with a nice aggressive nature, charging into the box, so he gets an uptick for that and getting on the goal contributions list. But I do expect a bit more from Bergval, even though maybe I shouldn't, because he is an 18-year-old kid and maybe we should remember that. But I think that we have just seen better performance from him, and I think he's just trying a bit too hard at the moment.
Yeah, I gave him a 6. I thought it was a pretty average display for him, but I still thought he contributed fairly well in the middle of the park. I still thought he put a lot of energy into performance. When he got on the ball, he was looking to try a few things, but not too much was coming off for him. But I still thought he kept the ball ticking over, and he was good when he was kind of in the build-up, just making sure that he was always an option. So that was positive. Obviously, he did really well to get that assist. I know it's kind of it was a bit of luck about it, but without that endeavour and willingness to get get himself involved in that situation, maybe he doesn't come away with an assist. So definitely a big part in the first goal. So I thought it was a decent display. If this is the worst it gets for Berg, I mean, we've got a top player here. So for an 18-year-old, we're saying he didn't play well, and that's the kind of performance we're seeing. I think that's a good thing in my opinion. So I gave him a 6.
100% agree with that. Next up, let's go to Timo Werner. I've also given him a 6. Frustrating from Timo as Timo gets. It's just a classic Timo Werner display. In the first minute, he's letting the ball roll out of play, but then I thought he did make quite a good impact in that first half. He put a really good cross into the box on the money for Will Lancashire, where he probably should have done better from. But then again, Mikey Moore puts it on the money for him, and instead of taking the shot, he tries to go round the keeper, which he probably should have done the opposite at Old Trafford than he did here. But look, he tries to go round the keeper, he takes it too far wide, and he leaves himself with pretty much no chance to put it in the back of the net. But look, I thought there were some good things in there from Timo, but ultimately it was a frustrating performance.
Yeah, I gave him a 6 as well. I thought he was okay. I think actually his ball retention was a lot better in this one. He was able to keep the ball and not give it away too sloppily. And actually, when he was taking on his man, he looked threatening. He got to the byline a few times, made a few cutbacks, and obviously he should have had an assist on the day. But obviously, everyone's going to remember that big miss he had in that second half, which he had so much time. Maybe again, classic Timo. Whenever he has too much time to think about something, he usually ends up messing it up. So that is what happened in this one again. Wasn't sure what to do and just forced it too far wide. And obviously, should be finishing that chance. And that's obviously going to be frustrating, especially when robbed Mikey Moore of a debut assist, which is really, really annoying. But I actually thought in general his last couple of displays have been a bit better, and he's been doing a good job for the team. Again, individually, you could say could be doing more, but for the team, he's doing a decent job. So I gave him a 6, not too bad.
Let's move on to Mikey Moore. I've given him an 8. An unbelievable performance from the 17-year-old in his first start. Really hard conditions, intense atmosphere, and I thought from the first minute he was getting on the ball. He was asking questions of the Ferencvaros defence. He was forcing Ferencvaros into hacking him down 4 times. He drew a foul in this game, which is unbelievable. He just played with absolutely no fear, and he was a constant threat throughout from the first minute all the way to right to the end. He was non-stop running, taking on his man, and it was great to see. And it was unfortunate they didn't end up with a goal contribution.
Yeah, he was fearless on the day, which was so exciting to see. I thought he showed, even at 17, he's able to physically compete with this level of players, which is really exciting. I thought the amount of times he was drawing fouls, taking people on, causing chaos in situations was really good. Involved in both goals, a really nice flick through ball to Lancashire for the first goal, which caused chaos and led to Sarr scoring. A nice through ball to Dominic Solanke for the second goal, which obviously opened up the space and allowed Tottenham to exploit that. Obviously set up Timo Werner on a plate for that chance, which he should have scored. So really involved in a lot of our good things that we went forward attacking wise. Also had a couple of shots. He had a nice effort from 30 yards, which obviously the keeper saved. It was a obviously easy save, but it was a nice strike. It forced him to make the low save from 30 yards, and was definitely confident enough to get his strike on. I actually thought when he went to the left hand side, even though he was tiring and it was later on in the game, I actually thought he looked really good on the left hand side as well as the right, in which he played in the first half. What I really liked about him was when he got on the ball, even though when there were moments where there weren't too many options, he was still making little passes, and it was contributing to our overall game, not just his little moments when he was dribbling. So that was really good as well. So did a really good job for the team. So yeah, I gave him an 8. Really good showing on his first start.
And last but not least in the starting 11 is Will Lancashire. 7s for me, and I feel like he led the line really well for his debut, particularly in Europe, and he was dropping deep. He was showing some really nice link up and build up play as well. Probably should have ended up with a goal or 2, even 2 to be honest, with the chances that he had. But I thought he showed really good movement in the box for such a young kid playing his first start for Tottenham Hotspur. So I give him the utmost credit.
Yeah, I gave him a 7. I thought as well on his debut, up against 2 really physical centre backs in Cisse and Gustavo. You could see there were 2 strong opponents that he was up against. At 19, to make your debut away in Europe like that, I thought he acquitted himself really well actually, and actually really unlucky not to get on the score sheet. The header he had went off his shoulder, a bit unlucky. unlucky with that one, but he'll be disappointed. I thought the volley which he had, which just bounced over the bar, was really unlucky with. I know, he bounced it into the ground, but he got a good strike on it, and it was just a shame it just went over the bar instead of nestling into that top corner. So he'll be really unfortunate with that. One downside was he went through one-on-one and probably just took a bit too long to get the shot off when he allowed the defender to get the tackle in, albeit it was a good tackle, but having his time again, he'll probably take that shot earlier and maybe gets that on target. But the fact he was able to get in on away from the centre-backs was really impressive, and he used his physicality. The amount of times I've seen strikers, young strikers, come into that situation and just get completely overawed by the occasion, get physically bullied out the game. It didn't happen to him, and I thought as well, in general play, he was coming deep, dropping passes off to his teammates, keeping possession, was able to be part of our general play, which again, not something you see all the time. So strong display on his debut, so I gave him a 7.
Let's move on to the substitutes. First up is Dejan Kulusevski. I'm going to give him a 7. I thought he came on, helped us retain the possession in the forward line, and I felt like it was at a time in the game where we just needed that something extra, a few tiring legs, particularly in the midfield. And I just thought he came on, helped us retain the possession, showed his physicality, and he was just a constant nuisance, wasn't he? I mean, the Ferencvaros players just didn't know how to get the ball off him.
Yeah, I gave him a 7 as well. I thought when he went up front, he wasn't quite doing it, which is probably why Ange felt like the need to bring on Solanke at that point as well, because I thought he was able to keep the ball a bit better up front. But once he would have moved back into midfield, he was just unstoppable. And I feel like, the way he really did well was in those last few minutes when we were seeing out the clock and just, seeing out the game. He kept it in the corner and they just didn't know what to do. They just couldn't get it off him, and he was able to keep it and just run the clock down and see out time. So really good stuff from Decky. Yeah, so I gave him a 7.
Next up is Brennan Johnson, the match winner on the day. I'm going to give him an 8. The man is on absolute fire at the moment. I'm not even going to call him Brennan anymore. I'm calling him Brennandinho. The guy is a phenomenon right now. And, I've given him so much slack at the early parts of this season and parts of last season as well. But he is in probably the best form of his life at the moment, in the best form of his career. 5 goals in 5. And he comes on, was a constant menace for the Ferencvaros defenders. He had one chance where he hit the bar, and in the second chance he made no mistake about that one, an inch perfect finish into the bottom side of the corner, kissed the inside of the post and goes in. I mean, the guy is just showing everyone what unbelievable finishing ability he has right now, and long may this form continue.
Yeah, he's in such a confident mood. He came on, he made the difference. I gave him an 8 as well. The way he took that strike on when he hit the bar was fantastic. Such great technique, and it's so close to Aring in that top corner. But you just saw the confidence flowing through him with that chance, and obviously he got the what ended up being the winning goal with the confident finish on his left foot, kissing the post on its way in, and it was taken with such great composure. I think Brendan, maybe even last year, might have messed that one up, but I think this year he seems to have really much more composure and finishing ability in front of goal, and it was a top finish from him. And I thought he was a really great outlet on that right hand side as well, giving that Ferencvaros defenders sleepless nights probably. So I gave him an 8. Really brilliant cameo.
And the last player that we're going to rate is James Maddison. I gave him a 6. I thought he came on with a good mentality, strong head on his shoulders. He tried to press, he tried to probe. But yeah, I don't remember too many times he showed too much quality in the final third. But what he did do is just cause an absolute nuisance of himself. So I gave him a 6.
I gave him a 7. I thought it was a good cameo for Maddison. He got the assist for the winning goal, obviously, with that pass to Brennan. And I think he earned a few free kicks. And there was a couple of times where maybe he took a shot on in the final third where he could have passed it. But I actually thought he helped control the game as well with his ability on the ball. So it was a good cameo from Maddison. So I gave him a 7.
And last but not least, big Ange Postecoglou. I'm going to give him an 8. The way he's managing the squad at the moment with 2 games a week, I think is unbelievable. First time we've seen 4 teenagers start the game since 2009. When who was our manager then? Was it Ramos?
Yeah.
Yeah, one day Ramos.
No, it was Redknapp.
When we did play Shakhtar with the likes of Giovanni Dos Santos starting that game. So I think the way he's managing the squad, the way he's giving the youngsters minutes, and the way he, it doesn't seem to. I wouldn't say it doesn't affect our performances, but, you know, he's constantly finding ways to get the wins on the board. 5 wins in a row now, shutting up all the doubters, shutting up all the haters. So I can't praise Ange Postecoglou enough.
Yeah, I gave him a 9. I thought he managed his game really well. Yeah, it wasn't the best performance, but it was good enough to get the job done. And I just think the fact that he had the bravery he showed to play those 4 teenagers from the start and away in a tough European game was admirable. The, you know, starting Will Lancashire and Mikey Moore, 2 players who were so excited to see, and the fact that they did well as well shows that they're up to speed with how Ange wants them to play, and they're listening, and he's clearly communicating what he wants from them. They're doing a good job on the pitch. I think the way he's managing the squad, as you say, is fantastic. The keeping certain players fit and fresh, and you know we got to rest the likes of Doggy and Van de Ven, and we gave Solanke a good rest, and Maddison and Kulusevski only had to play 25 minutes. So really great that and Brennan as well. So really great that a lot of our players were able to get a rest in view for keeping them fresh for Sunday, and we still got the win as well, and we got to play 4 teenagers. So I think he's managing the squad really well. I think everyone's playing for him and knowing how he wants us to play, and we're really building. So I gave him a 9.
All right, well, there you have it. That is our player ratings for the 2-1 win out in Budapest last night. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Let us know your ratings in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.